Hello, and welcome back to Outtro Codex's channel. This is a short guide to DragonFable's Ascendant class, which is the Atialan Mage class. Ascendant is a powerful, relatively simple offensive class with high sustained damage but mediocre defenses. The class can be acquired by talking to Isiri in the Spire of Outtro. Ascendant's primary mechanic is its Aegis Lost Chapter passive. The class starts the battle with 0 stacks of the passive and can have up to 5 stacks. It gains 1 stack every time an Ascendant skill besides Ascension is used. Using Ascension resets your stacks to 0. Each stack of Lost Chapter adds 5% damage to every hit of any Ascendant skill except Ascension, which gains 10% per stack instead. Like all mage classes, Ascendant also has a hidden mechanic where many of its skills fail if you don't have a scythe, wand, or staff equipped. So, you should always equip one of those weapons when using Ascendant. For farming or questing, you generally want to use Ascension on smaller solos and Aegis Fury on multiple enemies. For bigger, single enemies, you want to use the hammer to stun them, before using the scythe into the wand to finish them off. As with the other mage classes, Ascendant's playstyle is built around stacking buffs on itself and reducing enemy resistance before unleashing its primary damage move. The staff and the book Chapter 1 each give 30 boost for 60 boost total. The scythe applies -15 resist of your current weapon element. Finally, the wand does a massive amount of damage if the enemy is affected by the scythe's debuff, around 2,500 damage with best in slot gear. As each of these skills has a 4-turn cooldown, it's common to add the Dagger into the rotation for additional damage, plus bonus, and hit count. The hammer should also be used when it comes off cooldown for an additional plus 25 boost during your damage rotation. To complement its offensive toolkit, Ascendant can use Askel's Light and Thorny Shield to reduce incoming damage and avoid debuffs. Trip can be used to reduce the target's MPM. Finally, Mana Break is a 15% heal that also inflicts plus 30 health resist. Note that while Ascension does a decent amount of damage, you should generally avoid using it during boss fights except as a finishing move, as it resets your Lost Chapter stacks to 0, and thus greatly reduces your damage for the next 5 turns. At level 90, Ascendant should generally use 200 Intelligence and 200 Endurance, and then put its remaining points into one of Charisma, Luck, and Wisdom. Int is used as your damage skills are locked to magic damage. 200 End is used for survivability and immobility resist. Charisma and Luck are used for additional damage, while Wiz provides additional mana for longer fights. As mentioned previously, the strength of Ascendant is its extremely high sustained damage. Ascendant's 5-turn rotation does about 5.5 thousand damage, or about 1.1 thousand damage per turn on average, meaning it does one of the highest damage outputs of any class in the game. As Ascendant has a decent hit count, Ice Scythe can be slotted to further increase its damage output. However, the class can do poorly in matchups that demand defensive play. Thorny Shield's long cooldown and the fact that it's a BPD shield often match up poorly versus bosses with short rotations or significant crit. Askel's Light is often too small to provide a significant damage mitigation as well. That being said, while Ascendant is certainly not the best class in every situation, it's still quite good overall, and its high damage is enough to let it pull through in the vast majority of boss fights. This concludes the guide to Ascendant. For a more in-depth explanation of how the skills and passives work, check out the links in the description. What are your thoughts about Ascendant? What classes or topics would you like to see guides for next? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. As always, thanks for watching, and good luck.